Day 4 of SEC Media Days is in the books. That means SEC Media Days 2024 is a wrap. Sooners on SI with you here, John Hoover, Randall Sweet, Ryan Chapman, wrapping things up from the Omni Hotel in Dallas, downtown Dallas. Guys, it was 4 long, grueling days. Any quick thoughts about the week here in Dallas?
Very busy. It's like having an 8-to-5 job at the Omni Hotel every day.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I'm just ready to go to Buc-ee's. That's Buc-ee's home. We're almost there. Camp around the corner. But we got to wrap up what we saw here today first.
I need gas and I need beef jerky, so I'm also headed to Buc-ee's. One thing we learned about SEC Media Days, guys, no joke, it just means more. We were joking today, or maybe wondering is a better word, about how much they spent on food. They fed us 2 meals a day, 1,200 people credential-wise, plus there's some others that don't have credentials that we're eating every day. What'd they spend on food, $100 grand?
It had to be easy. They were ready for the grind of the SEC. I don't know if we were across these 4 days. That's something that Brent Venables and co have to figure out, though. That's not on us.
We'll start with the final press conferences of the day. It was Arkansas, it was Auburn, it was who else?
Texas A&M
and Kentucky, of course. Mark Stoops, we finished with Mark Stoops, made a joke about, hey, they saved the best for last. So that was cool. We'll tell you about Mark Stoops in just a minute. But Sam Pittman got up there and said something today I didn't think I would hear. And that is, I wrote the story. You can find it at OklahomaSoonersOnSI.com. That's our new URL for the website, OklahomaSoonersOnSI.com.
Make sure to bookmark that.
Bookmark that. Don't forget. But Sam Pittman, when Steve Sarkisian yesterday said, I think Arkansas fans hate Texas more than they like themselves, Sam Pittman was asked, what is your reaction to that? And he said, I think he's probably right.
Telling herself.
Not what we were expecting.
The head coach of a college football team is the CEO and says all the right things. Sam Pittman has the green light to say, yeah, he's probably right, Arkansas fan. He did say, ask some of the old hats. Which was also funny. But yeah, Sam Pittman got up and talked about being recruited with the Grove Ridge Runners and stuff like that. Guy's always a riot. You wrote about Texas A&M and Mike Elko. You asked Mike Elko, the head coach, the new head coach from Duke, previously a Texas A&M assistant coach. You asked him a great question about recruiting.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know, it's really interesting because obviously if you follow Oklahoma recruiting, you know that a lot of those guys out of the state of Texas, where Oklahoma recruits very heavily, it's been a 3-way fight really between Oklahoma, Texas, Texas A&M. Those are the 3 schools I feel like that are always constantly in battles for those state of Texas kids. And you know, a lot of times Texas A&M had the edge over Oklahoma and Texas on some of those kids because they had that SEC shield on their jerseys. Now Oklahoma and Texas, they share that SEC shield, and I wrote about this today, that you know, that might help Oklahoma and Texas catch Texas A&M. I asked Mike Elko if that made it any more difficult for him, and he said no, but he did admit that, you know, those are kind of the 3 big brands in the state, and that, you know, those 3 teams are really the ones that are vying for a lot of those top prospects in the state. He also admitted that, you know, whoever wins those battles is a lot of time the team that's going to win a lot of the games in the SEC. We know Oklahoma's roster has nearly 30 players from Texas, big-time guys, Jackson Arnold, Nick Anderson, Billy Bowman, another one. So that's going to continue. Oklahoma's going to have to keep winning battles over Texas A&M. Big one coming up with Michael Fasusi next month.
Ryan, you spent some time this week building your story today, talking about Oklahoma's trip in September 28th. Late September, yeah. last weekend September, to Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama. That's going to be it's going to be one of the many difficult road trips Oklahoma has this year.
Yeah, Tennessee, Oklahoma's first SEC game. The next week, though, it's their first road game. It's Jackson Arnold's first true road game. He said he talked to Georgia quarterback Carson Beck, who ironically, his first true road game was also in Jordan-Hare at Auburn at the Manning Passing Academy. Carson Beck, he said, yeah, that place is cursed. Bad things, weird things happen. So got to talk to Hugh Freeze today, a couple of the Auburn players, about what makes that place cursed. And Hugh Freeze just talked about it's the passion. It's one of the biggest stadiums in the country. We've talked about this, that Oklahoma now going to have the 7th or 8th largest stadium in the SEC. It's going to be like that every week on the road. And Hugh Freeze just talked about their student section is packed out 2 hours before gates open. It's full. And and he said that opponents almost enjoy playing there. I think he meant enjoy the atmosphere, not the result, as I think a lot of Alabama Crimson Tide fans would tell you, that place is indeed cursed. Our friends at Bama Central were saying the exact same thing. So interested to see what Hugh Freeze had to say. Head over to Oklahoma Sooners on SI.com. There's a lot said between the Auburn players, all that stuff about what makes Jordan Hare such a tough test for Jackson on that Oklahoma offense come September 28th.
Oklahoma capacity at Memorial Stadium, about 82,000, I think ranks 9th. I think ranks number 9 in the SEC. So, yeah, I don't know if Joe Castiglione wants to expand the stadium to kind of keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. But he does want more fan engagement, more craziness, more tailgating. They've already addressed that this offseason, so a couple of times. So I've been to Jordan Hare. It is extremely loud, extremely hostile. But that was a long time ago before the SEC went nuclear. We'll finish up with this. Mark Stoops talked today about when he goes to Destin or when he goes to media day meetings or when he goes to other meetings. You know, he sees Brent Venables and he sees Joe Castiglione and he sees Chris Del Conte, who he worked with at Arizona. And it's like, hey, it's great to see these guys. It's great to see my old friends and my old co-workers and my old boss and whatnot. So I asked him, of course, about Brent Venables coaching, and essentially, again, Oklahoma Sooners on SI.com is where you're going to want to read the full story. But he said, yeah, Brent is, I don't want to say like a brother of the Stoops or a cousin of the Stoops, but he talked about how Mike and Bob brought him along from playing days to coaching days to now Brent's the head coach at Oklahoma. And he says Oklahoma will always have a special place in all the Stoops' hearts. You guys' thoughts on wrapping up the day?
Makes sense on that front, and I'm glad that Mark Stoops had a pretty good humor about being the last guy, because it truly is a grind.
It's a grind.
16 main press conferences, tons of breakouts. Just happy to get it rolling. This is our last little bookmark to check off before we dive into camp. That's really the start of football season for us. And excited to bring you guys along here in a month and a half or so when it really gets underway.
I thought it was hilarious that Mark Stoops got asked about John Calipari going over to Arkansas, leaving Kentucky for Arkansas. That was pretty funny.
By an Arkansas writer.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
Yeah. But
Shout out to the Tysons.
Yeah, no hostilities there intended. Hey, that's it from us, for us from downtown Dallas, Texas. Boy, where are we going to be next year? Atlanta, Georgia, the College Football Hall of Fame.
Tough.
We're doing this thing.
Tough
It's a tough
for me.
assignment. We'll try to squeeze it in somehow. Looking forward to it. But like Ryan said, end of July, start of August, training camp is right around the corner. You guys need to keep it here. Oklahoma Sooners on SI.com.